And welcome back. For our fourth and final conversation, we have been joined by the interim party leader of the United Democratic Party, none other than Albert Area Rep. Tracy Panton. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, and thank you so much for having me on your show. I want to give a big shout out to all our UDP supporters, to our UDP delegates, to all Belizeans really, but in a special way to the people of Albert. I keep saying they're the ones that have me in this debacle.
Well, hey, tell you what, it's been a whirlwind 2 or 3 days in terms of being able to gain access to the UDP headquarters and to be able to perhaps begin your work as the interim leader of the UDP. Let's begin by getting an understanding from you what that has been like. I know that on Monday there were officers manning the building and there were supporters for your leadership and there were supporters of Mr. Barrow's leadership, and there seems to have been some kind of tension in terms of being able to access the property.
Let me say that after the convention on October the 20th, there were some supporters who said, let's go and take over. We have spoken and we need you to be able to operate the business of the United Democratic Party from the headquarters. I have gone on record to say that the institution is not the building. The institution is the people, and the institution has been in place for 51 years because of the people. But the building is iconic, it is symbolic to the United Democratic Party. And I was clear in my mind, and the leadership team was clear in our minds, that we would do things properly and legally. And so we had done the research. We knew who the trustee of the property was. And after the convention, we met with the trustee to ensure that the trustee would afford us the opportunity to access and occupy the building for the work of the United Democratic Party. And that's what happened on Monday. We had the full authority to access the building. I believe that the delegates, most of the people who were out there were delegates to the national convention. The police was there indeed, but I really felt that the police, in my opinion, operated outside of their authority to a large extent. The role of the police officers was to ensure that there's law and order and that we maintain the peace. And there really was no reason to have, I think I was guarded by 25 police officers.
Wow.
That they, from all different units of the police department. We are a civilized people, we're a civilized organization. We have dissent, we have differing views, but we are a UDP family. And I had no doubt that the transition would have been go as smoothly as it could and under the circumstances.
But you will forgive me for throwing this in then, that it has been described otherwise as a roguish and a thuggish takeover, so to speak.
Certainly not. I walked through the door. There was no breaking down of doors. We went to the headquarters with their proper authority. The documents were served to the coordinator who was in the building, Mr. Ian Jones. The door was open and I walked in. There has to be, to ensure that there is safety and security of the assets of the United Democratic Party. We, had the locks changed, which is any management would do if we don't have access to the keys. So, thuggish, and the media has a way of sensationalizing things. I think that we followed the right protocol every step of the way. And there will be those who did not want to see that happen. But that's the democracy, right? That's the democracy we live in. There are those who support and those who don't support. And the way forward will be determined by the leadership of the party.
One of those persons who or certainly not in support, is the leader of the opposition, Moses Shine Barrow. My colleague Isani here sat down with him yesterday in an extensive interview where he mentioned that the takeover was essentially criminal. He also mentioned that in order for that to have taken place, there should have been a court order.
No, not at all.
What would be your response to
Not
that?
at all. Not at all. There was no need for a court order. There is a sole trustee for the property. That sole trustee is alive and well in her sound mind, and that sole trustee accepted the decision of the October 20th convention, where there is a new leader of the United Democratic Party, and gave us the authority to use the building.
So you begin your work in earnest.
Yes.
Now that the takeover has been
The
complete.
organs are now under the control of the new leadership team, yes.
Before we begin with the discussion of what's next, let's talk about what transpires in Parliament the next time there is a House meeting being called.
Ideally, you would want to ensure that the leadership of the party is the leader of the opposition in the House. It does not have to be the case. That would be the ideal situation. I really call on my colleague, the Honorable Moses Shine Barrow, to respect the decision of the people. The people of the United Democratic Party, the highest decision makers of the United Democratic Party, determined on the 20th that there must be a leadership reset, and even calls on the former party leader and all her colleagues in the National Assembly to do what is right and ensure that the leader of the party is the leader of the opposition in the House. He will not go quietly in the night, as I think we can all agree on that. But he's the leader of for now, he's the leader of the opposition in the House. And I am the leader of the United Democratic Party. And I am hopeful that after we get through the next couple of days, he will come to understand what the will of the people is, and that he will respect it.
On the evening of October 20th, at the conclusion of the Unity Convention, your arms were raised in victory, so to speak. But you
It's a victory for the people.
Yes.
Because the voices of the people were not stifled. They had an opportunity to come to the convention, to have their voices heard. There was no intimidation, there was no incentive, there was no tactics to incite fear. They came, they voted by secret ballot, and they made their determination as a way forward. So for me, the victory is for the people.
So I want to pause on this very same image right here, because this is symbolic and iconic for various reasons, right? So you're flanked by John Saldivar on one hand and Patrick Faber on the other. And these two individuals, powerful and influential in their own right, also come with their own baggage, right? And this has played out for the world to see. And these are the two persons who are essentially supporting you as well.
I was supported.
What does this mean for you, this particular
I was
image?
supported. So this is the narrative that the media wants to promote.
Okay.
I was supported by 16 members of the United Democratic Party, 16 standard bearers who were men, and one phenomenal woman in the name of Beverly Williams, who is our second deputy leader. We had the support of 17 standard bearers as a part of this movement, and this movement is a pressure group, if you want to call it, within the party that is standing up for democracy, that has said and will continue to say that the democracy of the party is important, because when the democracy of the party is compromised, the democracy of the country is then in peril. And so I'm sure there's a story about all of us, right? And all of us come with some baggage, I am sure. The fact is, John Saldivar has one vote and Patrick Faber has one vote at the National Convention. 347 delegates, 66%, more than 2/3 of the delegates of the National Convention spoke. And they asked for a leadership reset. just the way I will not disrespect the fact that the Honorable Moses Shine Barrow is the elected area representative of Mesop. I will not disrespect the people of Colette, who have said resoundingly that the Honorable Patrick Farber is their area representative and standard bearer, and the people of Belmopan, who voted in a contested convention, who said the Honorable John Saldiva is their standard bearer. The only way these people can be removed is when the will of the people say they shall be removed.
Now you have Hugo Pat as the deputy leader.
He is the first deputy leader of the United Democratic
But I'm
Party.
made to understand that he is not in alignment or in agreement with the Alliance for Democracy at all, and so there may be some...
There's no Alliance for Democracy.
Okay.
There is the United Democratic Party. There was a movement, just the way there was the Caucus for Change. We seem to forget the history so quickly. There was a Caucus for Change who rallied behind the former party leader to ensure that he won the convention in 2022, and there was no talk that the Caucus for Change was a third party or no, because it suited his agenda. The same way, the Alliance for Democracy is a movement within the party to ensure that there are checks and balances, to ensure that there's a voice against those who want to treat as though this is a dictatorship. There are no unilateral or arbitrary decisions that will be made in the United Democratic Party. There's a system of governance within the party. There are mechanisms to ensure that we can build consensus on any policy or any decision that will move forward as a party, and the Alliance is a part of that. We have achieved our objective.
Yes, but the Hugo Pat issue remains the question at hand.
Well, I would really like you to ask Hugo Pat. I would ask you to come on the show, because Hugo Pat is the first deputy leader of this United Democratic Party. And we have done nothing to undermine him, to replace him, to suggest that he does not have the respect of the membership of this party as the second deputy leader.
Have you spoken
as the first
to him?
deputy leader? Yes, I have spoken to him. And he has, as the first deputy leader of this party, he has a responsibility and a duty to the party and to the country. And if he has decided now, in his best wisdom, that he no longer believes that he has that duty and responsibility to the party and to the people, then he should tender his resignation. But until then, we will continue to acknowledge him as the first deputy leader of this party.
What's next? There's an election looming. There's perhaps very little time for you to be able to muster and to form a formidable candidacy in total against the People's United Party.
We are going to extend every effort to win the next general elections. We are going to do the groundwork that is required in every constituency to ensure that the party is in its best state of readiness to win the next general elections. Our democracy, like you, Isani, like you, for me, is a thing that I guard most zealously. It is what sets us apart in this region, a peaceful democracy. And so we are going to ensure that we have a robust democracy and that we take every step to win the next general elections.
As it stands, where does that confidence level, where would you rate that confidence level as we prepare for the next general elections in just about a few months?
The people. And if anybody came to that national convention on the 20th, the support from ordinary Belizeans were undeniable. I think that the former party leader needs to respect the will of the people, and I think the government administration certainly took note.
Well, Ms. Panton, we are certainly keeping our eyes closer to this. We constantly speak about what took place just Monday as one of history, seemingly. And of course, with your self at the helm of the United Democratic Party as a female at that also...
A competent female.
A competent
Thank
female,
you.
that certainly adds to a part of the history as well. My final question to you is, do you see the possibility of us having a UDP administration come 2025?
Absolutely. That's why we're in this race, because we believe we have the ability to win. We certainly have the ability to lead, and it is proven that we have the ability to govern.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you guys all the best, and we only hope to continue following the development of the United Democratic Party, hopefully on the verge of healing, and to also present itself as a strong opposition as well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And we also want to say thank you to all of our other guests for joining us this morning. As we mentioned, it was a jam-packed show, Isani, but we're grateful to all of them for joining us and, of course, providing you guys with necessary information. It is October 30th, actually. Tomorrow's Halloween. And, of course, if you're celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to ya. But if you'd like to give a birthday shout-out, or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send us an email at oie@channel5belize.com. You can also catch us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, as well as Instagram for behind-the-scenes contents at OIE Belize. Thank you so much for joining us, and please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow for our Halloween special, when you open your eyes.
So start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
And your heart's open.
have a wonderful Wednesday.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by Smart, bringing people together, and the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.